Good Sunday morning, fellas, or, people. This is my daily sketch. And this week I am drawing, if you can understand uh, that little rhyme there, I am obviously doing a little sketch based on the Lizzie Borden murders. Now, if you're not familiar with it, so I'll just kind of detail as I ink this, kind of sketch out what went down. So, August 4th, 1892, both Lizzie's father and stepmother were discovered murdered in their house. Now, they lived in Fall River, Massachusetts. They lived downtown and, amongst the peasants. But the weird thing is Lizzie's dad was actually like rich. He had money. Lizzie's dad's name is Andrew Borden. He was 70 years old when, Lizzie allegedly took an axe to his dome. The stepmother was Abby Borden. She was 64 when Abby, and I'm going to say this, most definitely probably took an axe to her head because she, from the book I've read, it sounded like, Lizzie was not a fan. And who would be? This is your stepmother. Who would be a fan of the woman who's replacing your actual mother? But now, despite this, little rhyme that's at the bottom of this drawing, she did not give. There was not 40 whacks and 41 whacks to, the individuals. Actually, Andrew was struck probably between 10 and 11 times, and Abby was struck between 17 and 19. So I have a feeling that the initial thing was she just wanted to get rid of Abby, but then she's like, wait, Dad's got money. So, and here's the thing. Lizzie Borden she has a sister. I want to say, oh my God, what is her name? I should know this. I just read the book and I just also watched the documentary over again. But she has a sister, and whatever. I don't know the name. I can't, like, I think it's Amy. Is it me? Maybe it's Amy. She was actually out of town on this day. She was visiting friends, I think, in Providence, Rhode Island. Just over the bridge there. Or maybe she was in Boston, Boston. But she, that's her alibi, and it checks. Now, the only people in the house on this day, other than the people who got an axe to the dome, were the housekeeper and Lizzie herself. So, fix that. So here's basically the rundown. There was no forcible entry into the house, right? Like, there's no broken doors, there's no tampered with windows. As I said, the only two people in the house or on the property were, Lizzie, the daughter, and the housekeeper. So, up in the guest bedroom, Abby, the stepmother, is preparing a bed for a relative who's going to be staying with them as a guest. She's the first to die. She gets whacked in the back of the head with, as we later discover, an axe, or a hatchet rather. She falls face first down to the floor. Now, that happened in the upstairs. Now, Lizzie's father is coming back from visiting some of his properties, and he takes a nap on a couch in the I guess in the family room downstairs, and out of nowhere, someone takes an axe to him and kills him, like, while he's sleeping on the couch there. Now, here's what happens from here. Lizzie Borden, from what I can gather, discovers the body of her father, and she's standing at the side entry of the house, right? And the neighbor kind of sees her, like, hey, what's going on? And then she tells the neighbor, like, hey, something's happened. My father's dead. Somebody came in and killed him. Now the neighbor and I believe somebody else, maybe it was the housemaid, enter their house. They discover the body of Mr. Borden, and he's just like his whole head is just donezo. There was no, and here's the thing: the murder weapon was not like present at the time of discovery, so they have no idea where the murder weapon was. They probably assumed that whoever did it took it with them. And then the other key note to take away from here was there was no blood on Lizzie Borden's like dress. You would think somebody who's killing somebody with like an axe handle or an axe or just the brutality that went there. There's definitely blood everywhere, but she didn't have any blood on her. And she like it could have been argued where the maid could have said like the police could have interviewed the maid like yeah was she wearing that dress all day or would was that because she had several dresses. And here's the thing about the Borden family, they were actually rich. Andrew Borden actually had money, but he was how do I put this, cheap. He was very stingy with his money. He didn't even have heat or running water in his house. um, I could just see his daughters like, "Hey, Dad, it's Massachusetts. It's the winter. It's a little cold. Maybe we should get some heat." And he's like, "Put on a sweater." Um, so and the daughters always resented him for that, and they always wanted to live up on the hill with the fancy folks. But no, 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 they lived down in the sewers with the rest of the peasants, drinking basic tap water, I guess, or not drinking tap water because there was no running water in the house. Anyway, so again, there's no forced entry, there's no blood on Lizzie, and there's no murder weapon at first. Now, after some investigating through the house, in the basement, they find this very distinctive hatchet head, and it's just like a 3-inch hatchet blade, and it's just hanging out in the tools and stuff. And they go like, this looks very distinct, very whatever. I don't see. The thing is, I read, and I don't think there was blood on that either. But it was like the closest thing that they could find to say like, hey, this looks like this was used. But anyway. So basically, Lizzie Borden becomes the primary suspect, and she was present during the time of the murders. She could not explain where her whereabouts were, like, and they were very inconsistent. Now, here's the evidence against Lizzie. So, she allegedly tried to buy poison at one point. I think the day before the murders, she was trying to buy poison. Now, the poison, I think, if I read correctly, she was wearing, like, it was something, I guess, back in the 1900s, they used, like, poison to kind of do some kind of steam thing or some nonsense. I don't know. The people back then were just, they put cocaine in their soda. Or at least that's what Coke was originally made from. They use different things for various whatever reasons, but that was number one. Okay, so I'm assuming that, and from what I read in the book, it just didn't work. That they didn't sell it to her. So obviously she had to come up with another plan. And then I mentioned the dress. Like if whoever murdered these two should have been covered from head to toe in blood. Now. Her dress was clean, but then the day after the murder, she was found burning a dress. Now, why would she burn a dress? Because she said it had paint on it. What? So, allegedly a dress had paint on it. So, yeah, I mean, that right there should have been like a red flag. So, anyway. Now, let's just get to the trial. So she's arrested, right? Now, here's the things that are in her favor. There was no blood on the dress she was wearing. There was no key eyewitnesses that says she did it. The trial began June of 1893. There was a lack of physical evidence tying her to it. It was all circumstance. She was eventually acquitted. Now the jury had like what, I think 12 men, and at that time they go like, a murder this brutal, a woman is not capable of it. And I just, when I read that part, I just kind of laughed my ass off. I'm like, who, women, really? Now I know that it was 1892, and they didn't think that a woman of such elegance could axe murder her father and stepmother. Today, by today's standards, if they came in today, it's like, dude, meet my ex-girlfriend. I was threatened with a gun several times, like not like a gun in my face, but like threatened to be shot because I didn't hang the dish towels correctly. So yeah, she absolutely, in my opinion, now here's my opinion, she absolutely did it. Now, despite the fact that there's the evidence was very, very, whatever. Anyway, but she got acquitted, which was silly. But aftermath. So as you can see here, a couple of kids playing some Ring Around the Rosie. She inherited her father's estate, right? Took the money, moved to where she wanted to live, and then died in what, 1927. Okay, she lived in Fall River her whole life, but she went to the rich part of it. She basically lived alone. She died with cats, typical cat lady, which I'm assuming that the crazy cat lady theory in today's culture came from this, but whatever. I digress. Whatever. So, and then she every day apparently she was tormented by kids, and would just like hop through her past her house and say the nursery rhyme below the drawing here. Now, why would I think she did it? Okay, so I think she did it because she was very, like, I wouldn't say envious. She just resented her father because, like, they could afford, lavish lifestyles, and she wanted lifestyle. She wanted that lifestyle, and, her father just wasn't having it. So I have a feeling that, like, she just said, screw it. And she killed him, thinking, like, I'm going to inherit the money anyway, and took him out. Now, why did she kill the stepmother? Well, because the stepmother would have gotten the inheritance, but also, from what I read, Lizzie Borden was not a fan of her stepmother. But yeah, that's basically a very quick, very unscripted, very terribly told version of the Lizzie Borden story. Now, there is a book. It's called The Case of Lizzie Borden. I don't remember the author. The book is like in my library, and I don't feel like getting up to get it. So just Google it. That what you Gen Z kids do. Yeah, just Google it. Well, millennials as well. I guess millennials and Gen Zers. Just Google it. And it was actually a good read. This case is actually fascinating. And here's the thing. Here's the kicker. And I actually am going to, at some point in the very near future, visit Fall River, Massachusetts. But so the house that the murders took place in is a bed and breakfast. How American. They turned the scene of a brutal murder into a bed and breakfast. And to up the ante, they put the crime scene photos throughout the entire house. So you can literally go into the living room where the father was killed. All the furniture is replicas, mind you. It's not the real, it's not the furniture from back in the 1890s, but they're replicas of the style of that time, of what they had. But in that room, you'll find a picture, the crime scene photos, and you'll see the pictures of Andrew Borden's face mangled from what we understand to be an axe. But all right, well, that was my quick little daily sketch. It's probably going to be the last one of 2025, folks. We're getting into the new year. unless I decide to do another one this upcoming week. Or, well, actually, no, wait, there might be one more. But either way, just do all that fun stuff. Like, subscribe, help me do something with my art instead of me, building houses and construction and, by day and folding sweaters by night at some retail store, hating my life. Like, subscribe, comment, do all that fun stuff, hit that bell. But yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm actually really enjoying these daily sketches. So, they're just kind of quick little drawings. They're not meant to be